Okay,
Want me to do an introduction?
please.
This is Wednesday, October 5th, 2 o'clock p.m., meeting to discuss the potential grant application for the FRDAP grant cycle. In attendance are the city manager, Mr. Vince Lupo, the city clerk, Tammy Shuck, and myself, assistant city manager, Jocelyn Martinez. So we can just kind of have I think, an informal discussion about what we think would be something we'd like to think about doing to Waterfront Park. Hi, Mr. Fox. We were just getting started. Any ideas about what we think we might want to see this time around?
Yeah, I think you can pick up where phase 1 and phase 2 left off,
Okay.
and move forward from that section.
Okay. I can talk a little bit about what we had approved for phase 1 and phase 2, so everybody kind of knows
Sure.
how we already have. So we've already received two $50,000 grants, so for a total of $100,000. So for the first grant we had, and there's two components to the grant. There's a renovation and a new construction section. For the renovation, we allocated $5,000 to the playground to add additional surface materials. We allocated $500 for upgrading the parking area, installing concrete bumpers. We allocated $24,000 to renovate the existing restrooms, $1,500 for the renovation of the kayak launch, and then $2,000 for the picnic facilities. For new construction, we have $10,000 for the playground, and then $7,000 for the picnic facilities, adding new benches or shelters.
Yeah, that's the first phase of the first FRDAP grant.
Yes.
You want to go on to the second one?
Sure. We have $1,500 for playground upgrades, $500 for upgrading the parking and installing concrete bumpers again, $2,000 for picnic facilities, and that's all in the renovation category. For new construction, we have $10,000 for the playground, $24,000 allocated for a shade cover for the existing playground, $7,000 for picnic facilities, and $5,000 to improve the kayak launch. So already in those two grants, you already see some overlap.
Well, in the new, Mr. Fox, in our new, Mr. Fox, please jump in at any time you would like.
Knows a lot more than we do.
Yeah, he sure does.
Basically, the only thing I'd like to add is that even though the overlap, really, there's separate areas for each of these. So we included a map, we have to,
Right.
with showing theoretically where we're gonna do each of these. Now, the reality is, once you actually put them in, part of the closeout is gonna be an as-built drawing you'll have to provide by a surveyor. Again, color, we did the first one color-coded, but the second one will have to be done by either a surveyor or engineer, usually a surveyor. And it may end up going a different place than what we had in there, and then we'll do a third. We'll take that same layout and use another set of colors for phase 3, which is basically what this is, once you decide which one to do.
Okay. We were talking about a slight addition under new construction of a small fishing pier. At the end, we once had one. It was storm damage and eventually was torn down and removed. So we would like to begin construction of a new small fishing pier initially with FRDAP.
Back where the old one was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so there would be no problem with any other issues, back where the old one was. And we do that one initially with this grant, and we would seek to add additional grants from a different source later on to add on to that site with respect to fishing pier. Everybody has been asking to reestablish fishing piers. So we would look to add some money to that under new construction for that. Now, again, we're assuming the grant is approximately $50,000.
It is $50,000.
Okay, so with that $50,000, we want to add a reasonable percentage in order to make points for that. We would also would like to upgrade the a section of the bike and hike path through there that comes around the waterfront section behind the current gathering area, slightly up.
I'm sorry, you want to add a what?
Some upgrades to the bike and hike trail.
Oh, the bike trail upgrades? Okay, so basically renovation to the existing trail, you know?
Yes, yeah, well, down to the renovation category, be slightly renovating some of that.
Is it only a bike trail, or could be used for an exercise trail?
Oh, it is exercise,
Okay, the reason
exercise.
I'm asking is, it's a points game.
Oh, sure.
Not everybody, the points don't matter, but for renovation, they lay out points anywhere from 1 to 6, depending on what you do, and a bike trail happens to be a 1-point item, but an exercise trail is a 1-point item too. If we called it a nature trail, we get 2 points.
It actually is a nature trail because it cuts back around some of the new plantings that we had put in there some time ago. So it's a combination of a nature trail, an exercise.
Yeah, and you can use it for whatever you want. I've named one of them in the application.
Yeah, nature trail for sure. And I would like to do some of the, redo some of the signage for the park, and at this point in time, also add as an addition the FRDAP issue on our signage. It is part of.
Yeah, and you're required, if you don't have one, there's a formal sign that they require at the end that basically says that, park was funded in part by.
So I would like to, I would like to add that necessity to our issue. Joss?
So we have to get to 30 points, right, Mr. Fox?
30 is the maximum, yeah. One thing you want to do for additional, there's 2 things. One is, there's an area where you get 8 points if you're renovating your existing playground. The renovation could be everything from painting a piece of equipment, replacing it, putting new ground cover on it. And that's 8 points versus the option of 13 points to put in a baseball field, which doesn't work there. So, to get one or the other.
No, we'll definitely want to renovate.
Yeah. And it could be like $1,500. Doesn't have to be a major amount of money.
Yeah, so I would definitely want to renovate, do additional renovations to the children's play area. I think that would be warranted. In the first and the second FRDAP grants, we spoke about redoing the restrooms facilities there. What I would like to install also, mainly in the as part of the renovations or additions to the, not additions, but renovations to the play area would be a separate water fountain.
Are there any ADA or handicap components that we can incorporate in that get us a good amount of points
Yeah,
against
80.
older citizens, that enhancing access, is there anything there that
No, most of the stuff, they're assuming that most stuff we put in
is ADA?
and the upgrades would be ADA.
So you don't have to do, there's no extra.
No,
things.
there was a special cycle this past few months ago. With this year, the way this one works is we submit the 28th of this month, they're ranked by DEP, they go to the next year's legislature, and there's a separate list for the 50,000 or less, and for the communities that's more than 50,000, and then the legislature decides on each list how far down to go. And since they've come out of the recession, they basically funded all the small ones, they just funded a couple of big ones last year, but they got 74 funded, 2 fully, and then just cherry-picked 4 others out. The legislative appropriations, the governor did not veto them, so they went for 500,000.
Yeah, when we put the park in, we originally designed it to be handicap accessible, And there are some modifications that we will make when we put it in to add to that accessibility. One of the things we're going to set aside is a closer parking within our parking area for handicap. And when we redo some of the roadway, we'll make it a little easier for more accessible for handicapped individuals. So that'll be part and parcel of the upgrades.
But it's going back to the nature trail, because I'm assuming, because we were talking about near the park and extending, because it really stops at the park there, carrying it on. But as you may recall, a couple of years ago, we did one of the 5K events, and actually started in the park and went through the park, and it was on the grassy area there. But if we ultimately carry some type of major pedestrian access into the waterfront overlay area, and we could maybe, we've got some wetlands there to the south
Yes.
side of the park, but maybe if we carried the nature trail in through the park and then loop back around, we could kind of consume that as more to the paved trail. And I don't know the type of surface we're looking at in the park, but where the paved trail ends there, and we're able to carry it around the water feature in the park and had a big loop, may accomplish a couple of things. We get the nature access. It's easier to roll a wheelchair on paved, and I was just at some of the national parks, and I was surprised at the number of paved access they had for handicap accessible. And then loop that around on towards the Gill Dogs property and stuff like that. So we kind of pull Waterfront Park in a little bit more than we have.
Well, what's on the drawing board right now that'll help pull the park in and to give it some more security is new fencing to pick up from the far east side right along the front of the park with new gate and some modified signage, and then go up towards the Gildog section and then in, so that it can be closed off and secured at night when it's supposed to be. So that will pull in the parameters of the park itself and make it very apparent that this is the park. It'll isolate it from trespassing in the evenings. It'll make the park a more secure site. It'll be monitored by the police. After hours, it'll be closed. Those kinds of issues. But that's an aside from where we're going here. You're
Okay.
Yes, that's an aside, but it does tie into pulling it in. And when I spoke about the nature trail, I was really thinking more along those lines of picking up and bringing it around to the section you're talking about. Once we put it down on a map, I think it'll become more apparent.
Right.
Well, I was thinking too, I mean, if we're gonna renovate the existing bathroom structure, are we gonna still have the pavilion, or are we thinking about?
No, we're going to have it in order to keep that structure there. We'll probably renovate that structure and completely modernize it, taking a lot of the older structure out, leaving the steel structure, the steel roof.
And the pad, the concrete?
Correct. And make it more user-friendly.
But maybe that's something that we could add to this grant, is upgrading the pavilion, or renovating the pavilion structure, the one that's attached to the bathrooms? Because that's in a state of disrepair.
Yes.
The pavilion with picnic tables underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other points for the regionally, doing at least one thing on the list. I can go over the list in a second.
Okay.
Find it here. Basically, and that would be picnicking, which would be the first one.
Okay.
And then you got RV trailer camping, which doesn't fit. Baseball and softball doesn't fit. Football, outdoor swimming, a pool, saltwater beach, which you really don't have there. Golf, outdoor basketball, outdoor tennis, soccer, rugby. So the only one on this list for your region would be the picnicking.
Picnicking, so that
And
might work.
that's seven additional points.
Well, that's
a great
exactly
point.
what we're talking about, really.
Yeah, so,
We used to have at one point in time, and of course, no longer, outdoor grills and things like that. We'll reinstall some of those picnic area.
What does the RV piece give us points-wise? What is the RV component Is
Our,
it any or nothing?
well, once you do the picnicking, you get those 7. I just had to do one
So
of those.
there's no
But,
additional.
but out of the 30, if we put in RVing, and I mean, that's depending on whether it's just a set-aside place, it is, let me find it. Camping is 2 points.
We can do neither camping. I don't think we can really do camping on
Well,
that
you're not
side.
you're not gonna be able to lock it up if you do that, because we're gonna.
Correct.
put it out, so.
Yeah.
And the same with the RV issue.
Well, I was gonna broach that because there might be. We had talked about this associated with the Port Authority. We had discussed about Anchorage and Miller's
Mooring.
Bayou. Like a mooring field is a revenue generator for the city. But one of the things that would probably mitigate things for the residents is if we had facilities, when you're talking about the restroom renovation, one of the things that we talked about is if we could incorporate showers in. You could have showers there, rent that out, so you get additional revenue flow in, but then the RV, if you will, is out on state lands, but just trying to figure out.
There are other issues that really revolve around some of those kinds of thoughts, including unwarranted use of those facilities, shower facilities. I have people showering in sinks in some of the parks that,
There's a challenge in the design, I understand that, but with the Trans-Florida kayaking trail, the Blue Waves that we've got.
Right.
Brasher's already identified as a venue. I'm just thinking if there's a way we could get it closer, easier to control and manage, and if we built that in, maybe there's some things that we could do. So I only bring it up from that standpoint.
okay.
One thing that may sort of fit into that totally is boating facilities is one option for new, and you could put in some floating docks with the gangplank to get to the new dock. Where somebody's out there, I don't know, for the larger boats mooring out there.
Well, on the dockage facility, one of our thoughts were about the new pier was maybe being able to make it moorable, because then if we have events at Waterfront Park, you can have boat traffic come in that way and be able to use it for shallow draft, be able to use it for multi-purpose events.
The only issue we would have to overcome is the parameters of the FCT. And that could be pretty severe with those issues, but we can address those at a later time.
Yeah, Apalachicola has had good luck with that
Yeah.
as far as their waterfront facilities, mooring access, day access only at that venue. But they've got pretty nice facility in Appalachia through FCT.
Sure. Where do we stand? Any idea?
Okay, I've got
16 points?
playground renovation
Mhm.
at 6.
Oh,
I've got, I'm assuming there's some fencing there that we're gonna replace with the front fence?
Yes.
So that's support, I've got that as the support renovation at 5. And then I've got the picnic facility renovation, which is the shelter, which is a cover, at 4, so that gets us to 15. And then I've got the nature trail renovation is 17.
oh,
Then I got support new, which would be the signage, which I'm assuming you were talking about adding signage.
Yes.
And also the water fountain, which is 21. And then I've got the fishing pier, which is 3, which is 24. And then I've got the extension of the nature trail, which I think we talked about, which is 26. So we're about 4 points shy.
A bike rack.
Bike rack would be new support. We won't get you any more points, but we can put it in there.
Okay, yeah, put it in there.
what about a community bat house?
What's that?
Community bat house. I want one of those, but I don't know if that's something that would work with this grant.
We could, I mean.
Do you think it would get us any points? Is it even a category?
No,
No?
so, I mean, it's not listed here. You have the other, which is a
Okay.
point. New other.
Okay.
What about an educational center at the park?
You can't do buildings. You can only do
No,
music.
like an educational, board with the indigenous plants and the animals and, No,
It
no,
could either
like a-
be, if it went into some of the history of maybe the area, we could call it a historical facility, and that's 2 points versus just an other, which would be, signage, which would be like that, but talking about specifically, like I said, the flora and fauna, which would be 1 point, so.
So you mean if we incorporated some of the historical aspects of the city of Port Richey?
Either the
Would have to
city
be
or
the
the park
park.
area, or
Okay.
the waterfront, yeah.
Okay.
Got Oldsmar Mountain there, you could talk about some of the.
No, there's a whole list of items that we added to it, to the park, the special flora and fauna and that, we could easily list that, but with respect to history, we can go back to Captain Ritchie.
We have
I mean, we have all of the information here.
You could also add a new piece of playground equipment that would get you your points.
We definitely want to do that.
Okay, then we're there, basically.
Okay.
We're there without the historic, so.
All right.
So basically, what I've got then is for the renovation of existing playgrounds. And then for support, we're talking about replacing the front fencing, this is all renovation. Talking about repairing the picnic pavilion. Talking about repairing or upgrading the nature trail. Talking about adding a piece of playground equipment. Talking about adding some signage and a water fountain and a bike rack. Talking about adding the fishing pier. This is gone. And then adding the nature trail, extending the nature trail.
Yes.
And that gets us to 15, 17, 26, 20, 29, 32. So we're 31 rather than there.
Perfect. Perfect.
And again, this will go into, to do the 28th of this month.
Okay.
They'll be ranked by DEP and then go to next year's legislature, who will then, it'll pick the FRDAP list, not the list, but the dollar amounts, and what projects in the sense of the ranking lists the legislature chooses to fund will appear in the budget. And then, of course, the budget becomes effective July 1, but like I said, you're still waiting on contracts this year from July 1. So it takes, and I looked last year, the contracts started coming the middle of September. This year it's probably gonna be closer to the middle of October. So, and then you gotta go through a commencement, which we have to do on the 2 that you're getting, which involve putting together another number of documents, doing a perimeter survey if we don't already have it, and then doing a 30-year title search and having your attorney do a letter saying that the city has good title of the property. And then once that's done and they accept it, then you can start signing, signing contracts and actually putting in equipment and stuff.
Great. Jocelyn, do you have anything else?
Do we need to talk about how much money we're gonna allocate for each one of those
Yeah,
things?
you can do that.
Okay. And then we have a number of things we have to do to complete the application. We have to have give a public presentation. Remember
Yeah,
last year?
basically, you talk about the meetings.
Civic group or something.
Yeah, you've got to make a presentation, 3 things. The meeting today, which basically would provide in the application a copy of the affidavit from the paper.
Mm-hmm.
Either minutes of a recreation board meeting, if you don't have a recreation board, planning board meeting, regular meeting, where basically they recommend to council to submit the application. And the third is going to a civic group, telling what you're doing, getting a letter from them, thanking you for keeping them informed about what the city's doing. Those 3, either you, by the 28th of this month, have revised the CIP of the comprehensive plan, capital improvements element, to include this new part.
Mm-hmm.
And while you're doing the other 2 as well, or in a resolution from the council, you commit to do that if you're funded, which is what you did last time.
Yes.
And I think it's not in your CIP currently, is it?
I don't think so.
So, and most of the stuff beyond that, I've got to develop, obviously, this list in the budget.
Sure.
And the budget will be in the application, the budget will be in the commencement documents, but the budget will not be in the contract. DEP, because I only have 2 women working the whole program, basically has a $50,000 item. You have a maximum percentage you can spend on non-active recreation and support stuff, which is 49%, and that includes all of your administrative fees. And so you really have about 17.4 for support stuff. And then, and any restroom renovation will be included with that too. And that really is pretty much it's a fairly simple application.
Yeah. Do we want to bother with budget allocation now, or want to do it separately?
I can draft something up, because again, it's not gonna be.
Fine.
It's not gonna be in the contract.
No, of course not.
And I'm just gonna, what I'll do is, I guess, if you'd let me know how much you wanna put in the fishing pier, you have a
I
rough
think as
number
much
for
as
that?
possible.
Yeah,
As much as
that's,
possible.
yes,
Okay.
Yeah, we got a high quote on that, didn't we,
I
originally?
guess that and the playground equipment's gonna be your 2 higher cost items, so.
yes.
All right, I mean, I'll just put some numbers in, again, it won't be in the contract, and it's in, so basically at the end, when you do your closeout, you also report how much you actually spend on each activity.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think we're there. Mr. Fox, I'd like to express this community's appreciation for the work that you're doing for us. And we dearly appreciate your assistance and your help. You're making our life a lot easier, and the citizens truly appreciate what you're doing for us.
Well, hopefully the big one we got you will eventually come to an actual contract, and we can move in on that.
The restore.
Yeah. And that one's been hanging out there a long time.
Yeah. Again, thank you, Mr. Fox. I guess we can close the proceedings.
So.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for attending, sir.